we had Nomveliso Mbanga as well speaking about Youth Suicide Prevention Week. Nomveliso, you're still with us, and thanks for staying with us. Interesting, these developments at the Hoërskool Jan Viljoen School. How do you process them as a person who speaks to teenagers about their distresses?
When I speak to teens, I often hear one thing in relation to race. We ask our kids to cut themselves up. We ask them to cut your hair. We ask them not to speak your language at school. We ask them not to walk in a particular way. We ask them to be responsible about understanding the rainbow nation, being responsible, but we don't ask the same thing of the white kids. So our kids walk into these spaces. They are often asked to cut themselves out, or cut themselves up, but the other kids of the other race, they remain the same. Nothing about their lives changes. Nothing about their language changes. Nothing about how they dress and their tone changes. We keep asking all of these things from our kids. And when these things happen, we often get shocked when our kids respond to with violence, because all of this trauma, they're keeping in their emotions, they're keeping it in their body, because from grade 8 up until matric, we keep asking so much of our kids. What I would love to see happening is the departments, the adults sitting together and see, how do we keep whites accountable to this rainbow nation as well? How do we ensure that it's not only our kids who are cutting themselves out all of the time? It's not only our kids who are compromising all of the time. What else can be done to manage a changed situation? Because what also happened is that we forced white schools to take on black students. And when that happened, we just said, this is a new era, a new generation, a new rainbow nation, move with the times. But we didn't give these schools ways to manage our kids, or ways for them to understand our kids, or ways for them to be accountable for their part in the equation. I would love to see more of that happening within these schools, because it is our kids who are carrying the burden the most. And often what happens is our kids who die the most. If you look at the stats, it's mostly black students in the teen space who commit or who die by suicide the most, more than the other races.
So if you were in that meeting today with the MEC for Education in Gauteng, Panyaza Lesufi, and the school officials, if you were to advise the MEC, what would you say?
I would say close the school for the week. Take the parents involved from the white families and the black families and put them in a space where they can talk. Have a mediator in place, not the Department of Education, because they're also part of the family body of the schools. Put the families in one place and then talk about the issues. Allow the black parents to talk about the issues, but also allow the white parents to talk about their issues as well. Doesn't matter whether we might agree in that particular space or not. And it can't be the type of meeting where we throw a speech all the time, or we throw nice and kind words all the time. Allow the parents to vent. And then when that is done, put a system in place to say, okay, this is how we're going to manage the change over on the social side, on the academic side, because what often happens is that you find that black kids on the academic side, they get judged very harshly in comparison to their white counterparts. What it does is it makes the white kids feel more superior because they don't fail bona, and yet the other kids go through strict measures. Put a system in place, monitor the system from a year to 3 years, because you can't expect emotional change and intellectual change to happen within 6 months or within a month. So it needs to be a process. And when the kids come back to school, also in that space, put experts in place to have conversation with the kids involved, because when the parents are away, the kids are fighting with each other. But often that fight is coming from a voice they hear from home, or a voice they hear from the elders. Have a system in place, ensure that the kids, they talk to each other, and let them agree on a way that's going to support everyone. Allow the kids to give you a direction, because also kids know how to handle their situations more than we think they do. Give them space to talk, give them space to comment, and then also have accountability channels in place.
Let's come back to our conversation about Teen Suicide Prevention Week, and I wanted to ask you the first question: why is teen suicide prevention important? Of course, before we could even answer that, This story threw itself at us this morning in relation to race relations in the country. It's one of the issues that teenagers have to contend with. What other issues are teenagers grappling with?
In most cases, teenagers don't know how to articulate their emotions. So if they're feeling in a particular way, they tend to not have the words to say, you know what, I'm feeling sad today, or I'm feeling depressed today. Also, the reasons why they might be feeling sad or depressed or in a particular way might be things that they cannot talk to their parents about, because they might be things not allowed by the parents. For an example, if a boyfriend broke up with them or they slept with a boyfriend at school, and then the boy told other boys in class, and then it became a joke of the school. Often teens don't know how to take those issues to their parents because they are afraid they might be judged or punished for whatever act that happened at school. So then they tend to not have the words to articulate how they are feeling, and therefore then it becomes easy for them, for that stress that they feel, to move very swiftly to depression, and them feeling like they have no one who will understand them, or no one who will know how to assist them. Also, this kind of boils down to communication. It requires parents to leave a consistent space of communicating with your kids all the time, and not wait up until something wrong is happening with a particular teen. Have a practice where you talk to your teenager consistently, so that when something is not right, you are able to feel it as a parent, you are able to see it as well, and you're able to intervene as quickly as you can. Of course, teens are tricky because 1 minute they're very moody and nothing is wrong. 1 minute they're very happy and everything is wrong. So it just requires parents to be in that constant space of trusting their instinct.
I'm going to ask you to hold on to that thought. Nomveliso, I'm going to ask you to hold on to that thought. We're going back live to Hoërskool Jan Viljoen.